Good evening, New Orleans, and welcome to the By the People debate series presented by the Urban League of Louisiana, our coalition of 20 community partners, hosted at the amazing Ashé Cultural Arts Center. Please join me in welcoming Ashé's Chief Equity and Executive Officer, Asali Divine Ecclesiastes.
Oh, am I on? I'm on. Hey, how y'all doing? How y'all feeling? Y'all up in here for some civic participation? Y'all in here to interrogate important questions about how our city is going to be conducted into the future? Are y'all in here for some good energy and love surrounded by the art and cultural works of your community? Well, thank you so much. I'm here for all of those reasons too. And I welcome you to the Ashé Cultural Arts Center, where we celebrate the people, places, and philosophies of the African. We are, yes. We are so excited to be able to partner with Urban League and the collective of amazing community organizations that have come together to present this series to you. All right, there I go. Okay, there I go. We're so excited about how much you all have been engaged and engulfed in the series, and we know that that is going to turn out to give us more informed elected officials. But please know that our work does not stop on Election Day. We have much more to do thereafter, and I look forward to partnering with all of you to continue our amazing work forward. And now I would like to welcome to the stage one of my own personal heroes, the wonderful Judy Reese-Morris. Please welcome.
This incredible and important space a huge round of applause. She did for the leadership that she provides to all of us, including me and the Urban League of Louisiana. Good evening, everyone. It is my honor to welcome you to the 6th debate in our By the People debate series. At every stage of this journey, we have witnessed the strength of our community coming together with passion and purpose to demand leadership that is reflective of our values and addresses our needs. Tonight, we carry that work forward in this very special place. We are so proud to host this debate at the Ashé Cultural Arts Center, one of this city's greatest cultural institutions. It might be the greatest cultural institution in New Orleans. Ashé has long stood as a place where art, community, and culture converge, reminding us of who we are, what we've been, and what we must protect for generations to come. There's no better stage than this one to discuss the future of our city. So again, we are so thrilled to be here. Here in New Orleans, culture is not just something we occasionally celebrate. Our culture is our identity. It's our economy, and it is our story. Our culture is rooted in the contributions of communities of color whose traditions, artistry, and resilience have shaped the soul of this city. To honor that legacy, we must elect leaders who don't just appreciate our culture from a distance, but who understand it deeply, respect it fully, and are prepared to steward it responsibly. At the Urban League of Louisiana, we believe that every resident deserves not only a quality of life defined by dignity and respect, but also the tools for economic self-reliance, the opportunity to build generational wealth, the protections of civil rights, and the promise of equitable representation. Our coalition is here to ensure that as voters, we are empowered to choose leaders who will not take our culture or our communities for granted, but will prioritize them as the foundation of a stronger, fairer New Orleans. So tonight, as you listen to the candidates, I invite you to be collaborators in shaping the future of our beloved city. because the power of New Orleans lies not only in our culture, but in our community. When we come together, there is no limit to what we can achieve. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you to the Ashé Cultural Arts Center for opening its doors always, and thank you to our partners for standing alongside us in this work. Together, we affirm that the future of New Orleans is strongest when it is shaped by the people and for the people. And now, please welcome to the stage our debate co-chairs, Dr. Toya Barnes-Teemer from the Teemer Strategy Group and Mrs. Deborah Gould of the Collaborative.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to take this opportunity to introduce our first moderator, Mr. Ted James. Mr. James is currently of counsel at the law firm Duran and Cawthorn and the principal of Ted James Strategies, a lobbying and consulting firm. Prior to his work at the firm, Mr. James was appointed by the President Joe Biden as the Region 6 Administrator who oversaw the United States Small Business Administration's programs, offices, and operations in the SBA's South Central region, serving not only Louisiana, but Arkansas, New Mexico, Oklahoma, and Texas. In November of 2011, Mr. James was elected to serve as state representative for Louisiana's 101st House District and immediately emerged as a leader in the legislature. During his 3 terms in the Louisiana House of Representatives, he served as chairman of the Administration of Criminal Justice Committee and chairman of the Louisiana Legislative Black Caucus. In addition to Mr. James' storied time in the Louisiana State Legislature, Mr. James is a proud past director of the Baton Rouge office of the Urban League of Louisiana. Please join me in welcoming my friend, Ted James.
Our second moderator this evening is Ms. Haley Parker. Ms. Parker is a journalist based in New Orleans. Since 2019, Ms. Parker has reported for news outlets down the bayou, like the Homer Center, the Homer Courier, as well as the Time-Picayune, New Orleans Public Radio, and currently, Verite News. Ms. Parker's community center coverage has largely focused on environmental and climate justice issues, such as the state's coastal land, loss crisis, hurricanes, industrial pollution, and adaptation extreme weather. Her reporting has elevated Louisiana issues nationally on Here and Now, Morning Edition, All Things Considered, and Up First. Ms. Parker's reporting has also been recognized by numerous awards. At Verite News, Ms. Parker oversees public health inequities and environmental health. Ms. Parker has also worked for the National Audubon Society and services on the board of Society of Environmental Journalists. Please join me in welcoming Haley Parker.
Thank you to our we did a lot of practice, and I still got it wrong. Thank you to our co-chairs, and thank you to our hosting partners. Please join me in welcoming the candidates for tonight seeking to be your next city council member at large for Division 1.
Thank you to the candidates for being here tonight. And before we begin, I want to go over the rules of the debate. Each candidate will have 60 seconds to respond to questions, 30 seconds for rebuttal, and 15 seconds for clarifications at the moderator's discretion. We ask that candidates keep their remarks respectful, focused on policy and vision, and refrain from personal attacks. The audience plays a critical role tonight. But in order for us to stay on time and keep the debate fair, there will be no applause, cheering, or verbal reactions during the debate. You may applaud during the opening and closing statements and after the debate concludes. Time limits will be strictly enforced to ensure fairness for all candidates by moderators and timekeepers. Okay, so we did that. Let's begin the debate.
We will begin with opening statements. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves and share their vision for New Orleans. We will go in ascending alphabetical order. So we will start with Representative Boyd, and I'll start off by saying today is Representative Boyd's birthday.
Thank you. It's good when you have friends in a room. It's also good when your name starts with the letter B, because you get to go first. First, thank you guys so much for hosting this event tonight. The Urban League, Judy, who is a dear friend of mine, my sister Lynx, and so many others who are involved in putting this on. I am State Representative Delisha Boyd. I currently represent District 102 of New Orleans. I started my journey about 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago. I was elected in a special election, and as I went around, I made some promises. Coming out of Hurricane Ida, that I would hit the ground running, that I would make sure that we had meaningful legislation, although my colleagues had been there about 2 years before me, and that I would fight fearlessly for the citizens of New Orleans. I've done that. Again, coming out of Ida, I had people come to me about catastrophic adjusters that come into our city and not value our properties adequately. I ran a bill that now all catastrophic adjusters that come into this city have to register with the commission, take a class, and be certified here. I have also got complaints about Louisiana Citizens Insurance and the cost of it, and people who were forced to go into Louisiana Citizens. I ran a bill that now you get to build your own policy. So if you don't want content coverage, you don't have to have it, which helps you with the cost of that insurance. I am committed to fighting for the people of this city. I've had over 25 bills signed into law. I've co-authored another 60, which demonstrates my ability to work well with my colleagues. Now we're here. We want better infrastructure. We want to be able to drive up the street and not bust a tire. On the days when it rains, we want comfort in knowing that our houses, our homes, our businesses won't flood. We want a business-friendly city hall where we can go in and get permits in a timely fashion, whether it's safety or building. We want better education system for our teachers. We want them to get paid more money because they're responsible for tomorrow's leaders and doctors and lawyers. And we want to make sure that our young professionals can own a home in the city where they live. I am committed to doing that. Delisha delivers. It's my birthday.
Mr. Hill, your 2-minute opening remarks start now.
Thank you all for being here. There's a lot of places you could be, but you guys care about the city. What do you think these scissors are for? They're not from Matt. They're not from Matt. But I'll tell you what they're not for. They're not for cutting ribbons, because for far too long, New Orleans has elected of people that are more interested in cutting ribbons than cutting the red tape that is required for this city to be better. Ladies and gentlemen, potholes are not the problem. Potholes are a symptom of a city government that can't get the basic system correct. Now, I don't come from politics. I'm a restaurateur. I'm a manager. And for far too long, we've been putting people on this council that do not have a managerial eye. They don't ask the right questions. Because anybody that knows a lawyer knows that if you don't ask the right questions, you're not going to get the right answers. And if we want this city to work better, then we have to go in to every department and ask every important question. Why do we do this? Why do we store this here? Why do we have so many printers? Where do we keep all the paper? You see, these things have been neglected for so long that all these tiny little things add up to a $100 million deficit in a city that can't get it right for you.
Representative Willard, you have 2 minutes.
First, I want to thank the Urban League and the Ashé Cultural Center for allowing us to participate in this forum tonight. It is part of the civic responsibility, and I thank all of you for coming out to learn more about me and my opponents, and I also want to thank them for offering themselves of service to the city of New Orleans. It's not an easy job. I grew up in a union household in Gentilly. My mom's a retired public school teacher. My father's a contractor. I spent summers working on his job sites. I've worked for a tech company for almost a decade. Good and bad story. Our company ended up getting acquired by one of our investors, but in order for that to happen, the investor made us leave the state and move to Houston. I ran for the state legislature in 2019 because I wanted to approach legacy problems in innovative ways. And over my 6 years in the legislature, I've passed 36 bills focused on problem solving to address the issues the people of New Orleans struggle with day in and day out. As a state representative, in my office, I get a lot of issues, local issues. One of the biggest, sewage and water board bills being inaccurate. So what did I do? Passed legislation to say sewage and water board cannot issue estimated water bills. The homeowners insurance crisis is driving the unaffordability in the city of New Orleans right now. What did I do? Passed the only legislation to guarantee you a premium reduction if you have a fortified roof on your home. And by the way, the grant program, which I made a permanent program, opened up this week. Go apply. I'm running for council at large because I love this city, and it hurts me to my core to see us struggling so much. It's too unaffordable to live here, and it's too difficult for us to live here. We need hands-on leadership with a vision and a passion to turn things around, get into the nuts and bolts, and make sure that City Hall is responsible and will serve the people in the city of New Orleans.
Thank you all for those remarks, really appreciate it. Now we're going to move into our coalition question segment. The By the People coalition of 20 partner organizations has carefully crafted these questions based on the priorities and concerns of residents across New Orleans. Each candidate will have, again, 60 seconds to respond with opportunities for rebuttals and clarifications as time allows.
In addition to the coalition's questions, candidates will be also asked rapid-fire questions in between topic areas. When asked a rapid-fire question, candidates are asked to answer yes or no.
Why are you looking at me?
Please, no elaboration. Please, no elaborations. This is about giving voters quick and clear positions.
Okay, so we'll start with one of those 60-second questions. Our first topic is going to be around governance and transparency. Many New Orleanians feel disengaged or disillusioned by local government, particularly Black residents and other communities of color. What innovative strategies will you implement to increase civic engagement and ensure historically excluded groups have a real voice at City Hall? And Ms. Boyd, could you start?
Thank you so much for that question. I've already started that process. I ran and passed the bill where we could have transparency and accountability with RTA. We know that we had an entire region leave our board last year. We know that many of our own board members right here left. We wanted to know what was going on the inside, what was going on with the money. I had issues in my own district with the ferry, with the money, so I ran that bill. So we rebuilt that board. We now have membership and board members, advisory board of the citizens of New Orleans. We need to implement those right where we are right now. We need to also maybe even be open to quarterly audits of different departments. We need to also add advisory from the citizens. Let them weigh in on what's the problems and what they see. Let them be a witness to what we're doing with the money in the city. We need accountability for things that are going on in our city, and that's the way you start, by implementing different advisory boards.
Thank you, Ms. Boyd. Mr. Hill?
How many pumps are working right now? Did anybody check the dashboard before they came in? Because I did. I said like 86. Do I believe that? No, I don't. Because that's not what transparency is. Transparency is being part of the process. And when I talk about going into the city departments and working on all the little pieces, what I'm talking about is creating re-engagement. Because if you want to turn a company around, an organization around, you go to the frontline workers, you go to the frontline managers, and you say, hey, what doesn't need to be here? And you know what they're going to tell you? They're going to show you exactly what needs to happen. And with lean government, they will be able to redesign their own job to be smarter, quicker, faster. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to lean out our government.
Thank you. Mr. Willard?
A lot of the processes dealing with departments in City Hall are very antiquated and outdated. We need to redo a lot of that. We have some publicly accessible dashboards that provide information that are not always updated, and there's no excuse being in the year 2025 that those are not updated in real time. If somebody reports a 311 ticket, that should be on a dashboard. If somebody requests a permit, that should be in a dashboard as an entry date request, and we should also have in the dashboard when that permit is issued. If we want transparency, if we want accountability, we need greater transparency. As it relates to the budget, everybody in the city of New Orleans contributes to the operations in the city of New Orleans. However, everybody in the city of New Orleans is not feeling the love. And so we need to make sure that the budget is a true reflection of the needs and the interests in the city of New Orleans. And that starts with conversations, that starts with open town halls, that starts with community meetings. And that's the way I would approach this on city council.
Thank you.
Thank you. This question, we will go Mr. Hill first, then Representative Willard, then Representative Boyd. The council plays a central role in shaping the city budget. What's one area where you would cut spending and one area where you would increase it significantly? Again, Mr. Hill.
I'm going to change the term cut to use the money smarter. I think I already told you guys, I'm interested in lean government, and that's getting everybody to participate back in the system so that they get their jobs done and that we can actually have proper oversight. How many times we go into a city council meeting and you've sat there and watched the person being interviewed say things that you knew were not true over and over and over again? Ladies and gentlemen, we have to ask the right questions. Now, when it comes to budget, if any department, is not making improvement, you're not going to get the money. I need every department to step it up and be better at their job, because we won't have a better city until then.
Representative Willard.
So as far as the budget, I mean, especially cuts, because that's kind of what the council is looking at right now, facing a $100 million deficit. We have a lot of contracts in place. For instance, with streetlights in the city of New Orleans, there's a contract for somebody to replace the streetlights, and there's a contract for somebody to manage that contract. So one thing that I would like to do is bring more of the work that the city does in-house. There's going to be cost savings, and you have greater accountability when they're a direct employee of the city of New Orleans as opposed to a consultant or a contractor. So that's one thing I would do. Also, in light of a $100 million deficit, you know, it's some things that the city council and the city has done that are really good, like the Culture and Recreational Fund, but we should not be using general fund dollars to fund that right now in light of a $100 million deficit. Perhaps we can use Wisner Trust money for that, but right now we can't do that. As far as investments go, opportunities for our kids and infrastructure, right there.
Representative Boyd?
Could you repeat the question?
Yes, ma'am. The council plays a central role in shaping the city budget. What's one area you would cut spending and one area where you would increase it significantly?
Thank you. With regard to cutting spending, we need a full audit of the money that's already here. What we absolutely know is that we get federal dollars for our infrastructure. Congressman Carter, who represents this district, has sent over $700 million in his 3 years in office. Our Orleans delegation has sent millions of dollars for our infrastructure, yet we have potholes in every other block, yet we still have drainage issues. How do we cut that when we don't know what the money's being spent on? So initially, what we have to do first before we cut anything is do a full audit of every department. What I'd like to see more investment in is in our children. Mentorship programs, giving them workforce development, financial literacy. These are the programs that we need to invest in because our kids are our tomorrow. They are our future. So those are the ones, those are the plans for me to invest more in our kids. We'll see less crime with that. We'll see an economic impact with that. So my dollars that I would have would go towards supporting our kids. I told you it's my birthday.
Thank you, Representative Boyd. The City Council acts as a regulator for utility providers like Entergy and Delta Utilities. What specific action would you take to protect residents from rising utility rates or unreliable services? Representative Willard?
We have to look at the rate structure right now. One of the biggest things that Entergy goes to is capital improvements, and the reason is because they're guaranteed a 14% return on investment. So they always want to build more infrastructure because they can make a higher profit. Right now, the council has the virtual power plant docket in front of them. We need to push forward to allow residents in the city of New Orleans to generate their own power and structure an incentive program in there for Entergy to reap benefits from that, because when we can increase the demand locally, we don't have to purchase power during peak demand hours. So that is something that I would push forward. As far as following the suggestion of the consultants that the city council has, I would do my own research. I mean, I really like to get into policy research, and I'm not going to just follow suggestions that consultants give me, because at the end of the day, I'll be making the best decision for each and every one of you out here.
Representative Boyd?
Repeat the question for me, please.
Yeah. The City Council acts as a regulator for utility providers like Entergy and Delta Utilities. What specific action would you take to protect residents from rising utility rates or unreliable services?
Once again, these are programs, both Entergy, we don't really know much about Delta yet, that require us to have some audit and some oversight into what's already going wrong with that particular system. So going in, I think to protect our residents even more, we need to have more involvement from the council, from our mayor, from our citizens on what's already wrong with that particular system, and then explore some other ways for energy. There are definitely other ways that we can have our own energy utilities locally. We need to explore that and put that into action. That will definitely save our residents more money moving forward.
Mr. Hill.
Energy. The Energy Super Bowl of 2013, right? There's not one person in this room that trusts energy. Not one of you, not one of us standing up here, not anybody sitting right here. None of us trust Entergy. It's time to bust up the monopoly. This is what I'm suggesting. It's time to municipalize the lines. It's time to take back our power lines. They're ours to begin with. And once we take them over, then we can bring in competitors. If you want Entergy to stop playing the games that they do, We got to put their backs against the wall. We got to bring in competition. How many people have friends or family who live in Texas? Ask them about their electricity bills. Ask them about their customer service. Ask them about getting things done. And apples to apples, Ida to Harvey. How long did it take for them to get back? 3 days.
Thank you.
We're going to start with you, Representative Boyd. How would you hold developers and city agencies accountable for delays and broken promises, especially when it comes to rebuilding and investing in underdeveloped communities in New Orleans?
Well, a part of the problem is that they're not employees of our city. Up until Mayor Ray Nagin, we had contractors and developers on staff. We had more pothole teams on staff. We had more builders on staff ourselves. So now we have to be responsible for trying to manage outside companies. That's impossible to do. We need to take control of that. I think in the beginning when it was done, it was with the idea that we could contract work out and save the city money, where we know now, 25 years later, that that's not working. We're suffering from that because there was no one maintaining our city at all, so we have to then be dependent on what they're doing. And as long as they're there, then they have to follow the rules of the city. We have to have guidelines, we have to have dates when they need to be finished, and when they don't get paid. We need to have driven results where you get paid based on what it is that you're doing, and then have pitfalls on when they're not done, there are penalties for not having it completed.
Mr. Hill?
Will you repeat the question for me?
Yes, sir. How would you hold developers and city agencies accountable for delays and broken promises, especially when it comes to rebuilding and investing in underdeveloped communities?
It's called cutting contracts. It's called making them hurt. Because we can't just keep piling fees on these guys, because you guys know this just as well as I do. Businesses don't pay taxes, and they don't pay fines and fees. We do. We pay them for them. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, we're going to fine these people. I'm going to let them know that your contract will be cut. Because far too long we've put up with going 3/4 of the distance, 2/3 of the distance, 1/3 of the distance. And the city council has allowed that for decades. That's on the city council. It's time to change our direction. It's time to show them that we matter. Us, not them.
Could you read it again? I'm a little confused about it.
Okay. How would you hold developers and city agencies accountable for delays and broken promises, especially when it comes to rebuilding and investing in underdeveloped communities here in the city?
I mean, one of the problems we have right now is that we don't have enough developers and contractors willing to do work in the city of New Orleans because of some of the obstacles in City Hall. You know, the time it takes to get you a permit, whether you'll get paid on time, whether you'll get paid at all. The way I think it has to be structured is with the bidding process. So if you have a developer who goes in and does work for the city, they get the contract because they're the lowest bid, but then all of a sudden their numbers start to change or the scope starts to change, and now all of a sudden the lowest bid becomes the most expensive bid. They need to be penalized moving forward to where when they go out to bid again, they're docked points. They shouldn't be able to continue gaming the system like that. So that's one thing that I would look at. And then as far as the agencies go, look, I'm optimistic about our city's future, but I really think a lot of this deals with the culture in City Hall right now. We need to turn the tide and set City Hall on a pathway to success, and I believe that we can do that next year.
Thank you all for that. Given the leadership entrusted to at-large council members, in instances which you disagree with the mayor or your fellow city council members on key priorities for New Orleans, how would you navigate that conflict while still delivering results for your constituents? Mr. Hill, you first.
Well, for one, I don't think that there's anybody on the city council that likes the Sewage and Water Board, and I'll start with this. It's time to get rid of the Sewage and Water Board, okay? It's time to dissolve the board, move all operations under Public Works. This is going to be a big project. This is going to take the state, it's going to take the governor, it's going to take you, the citizens, because you're going to have to vote on this, okay? And it's going to take all of us to do so. But when it comes down to it, your voices are the ones that matter. I might be wrong on things. Maybe getting rid of the Sewage and Water Board's a terrible idea. I don't think so. But it's what you want that matters. And I'll deliver that for you. And I will deliver it to every department with a pickaxe and a blowtorch if I have to, because we're going to get this right for you. Because it's unfair how you have been treated all this time.
Representative Willard?
Yeah, so there's so many issues in the city of New Orleans right now, and I think for the sake of our city's future and soul, ideally you want to work together with the mayor, with the council. One thing that I would do approaching this role differently is try to be an extension of district council members, which means I'm going to go into your neighborhood and I'm going to talk to your organizations or your neighborhood associations to get feedback from the ground to inform my decisions. Where there's disagreement, because it's inevitable, it'll happen, you have to work toward compromise. We have so many problems, which means we have to work toward solutions. And at the end of the day, being in a legislative body means you have to have teamwork, meaning you can't do anything without at least 4 votes. And if the mayor's against you, you need 5 votes. And so my approach would be to sit down at a table, say, this is where I want to go, this is where you want to go. How can we work together to meet somewhere in the middle or allow both of us to achieve our objectives?
And Representative Boyd.
Thank you. I think that's a great question. I came into the legislature in a supermajority. Walked in, and within 3 years, as I said, had 26 bills filed. You have to have the ability to have the conversation with people to do what's best for the citizens. We're not here for myself. Quite often, sometimes I'm voting for things that are best for my constituents that are not great for me. So you have to have the ability, this is not high school, to sit and talk like adults and do what's best for the citizens of this state. Hear them, listen, deliver for them is what we're here to do. So working with our mayor is top priority. I'm not going to always agree with the mayor, but I need to be able to have a conversation when it's best for the citizens. Working with the district council people. I may not always agree, but each district will have its own unique challenges. I will need to be able to go in, listen to that district person, listen to the people in that district, and deliver results. That is what we have to do.
Thank you, guys.
Next question. How would you strengthen ethics and transparency rules for the council itself? Representative Willard.
As far as transparency goes, the publicly accessible dashboards, I think, go a long way. They need to be regularly updated. They need to be updated in real time once new entries are made into the system. As far as ethics go, I think we're going to have some type of review committee to look at the changes that we need to make with the ethics board. I think there have been a lot of eye-opening experiences that happened over the last few years that may need to result in policy changes for the ethics board. If the people of New Orleans don't have faith in City Hall, if they don't have faith in City Council, then it makes it that much harder for us to do our jobs because you don't trust us. And so I believe in full transparency, and I believe making sure that we are accountable to the people, both fiscally and policy-wise. So publicly accessible dashboards so you can see what we're doing, and a complete overhaul of ethics driven by a review committee.
Thank you. Representative Boyd.
Again, thank you for that question. Once again, we are dealing with people who already know what the requirements are going into office. We have ethics in place already. Those rules just have to be followed. Whether or not we think they are correct at that moment, if that's what's in place, then that's what has to be followed. And we need to be able to sit down and have conversations on what's best, again, for the citizens of the state. So transparency is a must. Maybe we need to have more citizens involved with an advisory board that come in and are able to have a window seat to what it is that we're discussing, whether it's the budget, whether it's a different department, so they can come in and weigh in as well. Transparency has to come across the board. The citizens don't feel comfortable right now because 90% of the time they have no idea where the money is, what's being decided, and who's deciding it for them. So ethics is already in place. There's no way around that. And if there is, then there's consequences for that. Having the ability to work well with your colleagues is also important, and transparency for the public.
Thank you, Representative Boyd. Mr. Hill.
Transparency comes with communication, are hand in hand. And right now, our governmental structure is a top-down communication model, not a bottom-up communication model. When I'm talking about lean government, I'm talking about changing how we operate in full. The transparency will show up through lean government because, like I said, we are changing the way communication works. We're no longer just going to be accepting orders coming down. That pump worker is going to say, hey, I need this piece, and I need this to happen, and I need this to happen before we can actually make sure that this pump is going to work the way it's supposed to. And you know what? We're going to listen to them. That is how we're going to change transparency, by changing our communications model.
Thank you, guys. If elected, this is our first rapid-fire question. If elected, would you commit to a public first 100 days roadmap identifying required ordinances, budget needs, and implementation timelines for your stated policies? Yes or no? Representative Boyd?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Representative Willard?
Yes.
Thank you.
Will you commit to quarterly town halls or listening sessions? Mr. Hill.
Yes.
Representative Willard.
Yes.
Representative Boyd.
Yes.
Thanks. And so now we're going to move on to our next topic about generational wealth. Land loss, predatory lending, and heir property issues have historically impacted communities of color in New Orleans. What policies would you support to help families retain and pass down property, as well as expand financial literacy and wealth preservation tools in New Orleans? Starting with Representative Willard.
Well, this year I actually passed legislation to make sure that our students learn about financial literacy in high school. So that's one thing I've already done. I would like to use, and we have to figure out how much money that we would have available, but I would like to use city resources to make it easier for our senior citizens in the city of New Orleans. A lot of them are being priced out of their homes, and those are our culture bearers. Those are the ones who can tell our story. Those are the ones who blaze the pathway for us all to be here today. And because of homeowners insurance and property taxes and inflation, they're being pushed out of their generational homes. They're losing them in some instances, which means their family have nothing to inherit. So I think that's a good use of city resources to make sure that our seniors can stay in their homes. Something else that I would like to do is use some of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund dollars to develop affordable houses in neighborhoods where there are blighted properties and vacant lots. That way you're killing two birds with one stone, more affordable housing and cleaning up blight.
Thank you. Representative Boyd?
Thank you. I started a program with Heroes of New Orleans to empower the people that were within my district on financial literacy, how to get wills done, how to get successions done, because we didn't want to see a repeat of what happened after Katrina, with so many people unable to do anything with those homes because they had not been handled properly up until that point. I champion that and will continue to do that. As a real estate broker, I look for opportunities to increase housing for African Americans. It's actually why I initially ran for this seat, was to empower our own people to be able to buy homes in the community where they live. The reality of that is that we don't have living wages. We say affordable housing. I want to have the wages raised so people can buy houses in the neighborhoods where they are right now, not necessarily bringing the houses down to them and still leaving us destitute, still leaving our teachers not making adequate adequate money. So those are the things I'm going to fight for moving forward.
And Mr. Hill.
In the modern world, we like to look to new, fresh ideas, new technology to make things work. But every now and then, we just do it the good old-fashioned way. You see, back in the 1970s, there was a program called Earned Equity Housing. What Earned Equity Housing did is, as you rent, you are building equity with money that you can remove and take with you. It's almost like a rent-to-own program. You can choose to keep going and own that house. But let's say you decide that you're going to move to Gentilly or something like that. You get to pull equity out of it and move it with you. Like I said, sometimes brand new ideas aren't necessarily the best. Sometimes we got to go back to things that we have done before and worked before and just polish them up and try them again.
Thank you. Next question. Many Black and Latino families in New Orleans lack access to wealth-building tools like home ownership, business equity, and livable wages. What policies will you champion at the citywide level that allows for communities of color and residents living below the poverty line to create generational wealth? Starting with Representative Boyd.
Thank you for that question, Ted. It's really piggybacking off of what I just said. We have to come to a community where we want to fight for livable wages. I am all for championing affordable housing, but right now, with the soft second money that we have with the city, I still can't get a teacher into a home in New Orleans because of what she's being paid. We need to fight for equal pay for women. We need to fight for raising the minimum wage, not just for government employees, for our whole city. And with Home Rule Charter, we can do some different things here that we are not allowed to do on a state level. We need to start championing getting paid more money. I want families not only be able to buy the home that they live in, but to start investing in their neighborhoods. They are buying the houses in their neighborhood that will then change what revitalization looks like versus gentrification when we're investing in our own neighborhoods. But to do that, we have to bring people up to livable wages where they can afford to buy homes and investments in their cities.
Mr. Hill.
Yo soy de El Salvador. I am the very small Latino population that we have here in this city. And I speak for them when I say this. You're right, there is no opportunity because there is no economy for us to grow. And I want to go back to energy, okay? That is a monopoly. Every monopoly that we have, and we have lots of them, staggers growth. It doesn't let any of your family enter that business. It doesn't. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to diversify our economy. I cannot, on a city council, demand higher wages. I can't do that. That doesn't work that way. But what I can do is start building an economy that isn't just based on the service industry. Because when we're talking about minimum wage, $2.13 an hour is disgusting.
I have several ideas here. Being that the hospitality industry provides so many jobs to people in the city of New Orleans, I would like to use city resources to structure a program to allow hospitality workers to learn how to become management and mid-management positions, because ultimately they'll be learning how to be a small business owner and an entrepreneur. One other thing that we need to look at is the bonding capacity and some of the requirements when companies bid for work for the city of New Orleans. A lot of our small businesses don't have that bonding capacity or that insurance. So sometimes a prime contractor will use them to get a contract, but then once they receive the contract, that subcontractor receives no work. So they're not getting any money off of that project. So that's something that we need to look at. Obviously, we need job creation, but in order for us to really do that, we need to fix the basics of the city of New Orleans, and then we need to explore partnerships with credit unions and banks that can provide lending opportunities to some of our small businesses, which will allow them to pull down some of that city contract work and state contract work.
Thank you. Now we'll go into another rapid response question. Will you commit to publishing monthly progress reports online? Yes or no? Starting with Mr. Hill.
Oh, yes.
Representative Willard?
Yes.
Representative Boyd?
Yes.
Are you committed to working with the Urban League of Louisiana and the Sea Change Collective to implement policies that close the wealth gap in New Orleans? Representative Willard.
Yes.
Representative Boyd.
Yes.
Mr. Hill.
Of course, yes.
Thank you. Now let's talk economic development. In 2024, the Sea Change Collective and Urban League of Louisiana released a good jobs report defining a good job as full-time work with a livable wage, benefits and savings potential for home ownership. If elected, what industries will you prioritize to attract and expand good jobs, and how will you retain existing businesses? Starting with Representative Boyd.
I think, once again, we need to look at what we can offer businesses to come here. If we want businesses to come here and take root and have economic growth and development, we have to be able to offer them something. Infrastructure where they can have a business and the business not flood every other month. Where they can bring their kids and their kids get adequate education, great education where they can compete not only in the United States but on an international level. We have to change other things and the businesses will come. Those businesses, then we need to look at workforce development and redevelopment, because we see what's going on the national level and the international level. We've had over 300,000 black jobs lost in the last 4 months in Louisiana. Some of those people will need to be retrained for new jobs. We need to, when these businesses come here, we want to have people here who can actually work and make that money from those new businesses that are coming here. So we need a full plan, not just saying that we want to do something. What's the plan to get them here? Infrastructure, education. Thank you.
Oh, you could have finished your thought, but it's fine. Mr. Hill?
I need some grace for my birthday. Can I get an extra 10 seconds for my birthday?
Mr. Hill?
Y'all remember these? What were they for? Red tape. Okay. That's part of the problem. I think we've all been to the one stop, the one place you go and you stop, you get a shot. I get the idea of it, and the idea is the right idea, but it is the wrong execution. I apologize. It is the wrong execution. We have 6 Class 1 rail yards here. We have transportation, we have logistics. But ladies and gentlemen, we are not utilizing them because we are not encouraging our young people to go into these industries. Look, we could have aerospace right here at Mashoud without NASA. We need to change the system inside city government, or else we will not have people businesses coming here to open up because they're tired of being shaken down.
And Representative Willard?
I'll be honest, the biggest thing working against economic development in the city right now is the lack of city services and our infrastructure. Can you imagine if our economic development organization had some CEOs in town and they woke up and saw a boil water advisory on the news? You know what they would say? What the heck is a boil water advisory? So sometimes we have to get out of our ways. As far as industries that I would pursue, logistics. One of the greatest natural assets in the country is the Mississippi River. So we should be a hub for logistics companies in the city of New Orleans. Our kids want to do exciting and amazing things when they finish high school and college. We should have a strategic plan to go after production studios, video gaming, things like that, to provide them good, exciting jobs. Hospitality, we are one of the hospitality centers of the world. Why don't we have any real hospitality technology companies here? And then healthcare, because we created the bio district and it provides so many jobs, so healthcare.
Name one unpopular but necessary policy decision you would support to benefit New Orleans' sustainability and growth long term. I'm gonna repeat it. Name one unpopular but necessary policy decision you would support to benefit New Orleans' sustainability and growth long term. Mr. Hill, you're first.
All right, I'm just going to say it. It's time to recreationalize cannabis. We're way too far behind the 8 ball. Because when you look at our budget, we are Orleans Parish is only providing about 45% of the money that we consume. We cannot keep relying on the state to get it right. We can't keep relying on the Fed to get it right. Heck, we can't rely on parts of the city government to get it right once we have the money. But ladies and gentlemen, I just lost my train of thought, and I totally forgot what I was talking about. But that's okay, lady. You know, in the end, go Tigers, right?
Representative Willard.
Good for a moment of levity there. I appreciate it. I mean, unpopular is subjective there, but I guess what I would say is that for us to really properly fund long-term drainage in the city of New Orleans, tax-exempt properties are going to have to contribute to the drainage system. Right now, they don't pay property taxes, meaning they don't contribute to the millage rates that fund drainage in the city of New Orleans. Long-term, they play a part in that process.
Representative Boyd, you get the 30 seconds back you've been using for your birthday.
It's my birthday. I'm going to keep saying that. That's gonna get me somewhere. You know, I don't think it's unpopular. I've heard someone up here say that there's certain things that we can't do. We're policy makers. We're lawmakers. I've been told things that I could not get done at the state legislature that I did get done. 25% set-asides for minority-owned businesses have been tried for 30 years. I did it. There are things that we can do here. I think one of the most important things, and I'm not sure why it's unpopular, is paying our school teachers. The state won't do it. Then we need to figure out a way, be innovative and creative to do it, because they are responsible for tomorrow's leaders. Why it's unpopular, I'm not really sure. That is one of the first and foremost things that we have to do, is start investing in our children by investing in our teachers.
Thank you all for those responses. This question is just for you, Representative Willard. This question is just for you, Representative Willard. Given your relationships at the state level, what role would you play in coordinating state resources to benefit neighborhoods in New Orleans?
That's a great question. One thing is we have a strong New Orleans delegation, so I would allow them to lead, but sometimes the state delegation needs the city to send backup to make the case for big funding requests, like we have done for the power substation for Sewage and Water Board over the last few years. Yes, I'm the chairperson of the House Democrats right now, and I have a good relationship with the Speaker of the House, and I have a good relationship with the President of the Senate, and I intend to use those relationships to best serve the city of New Orleans and for us to be able to draw down the resources that we need to make the city of New Orleans function. I believe everybody in the state wants the city to function. They want us to succeed, and so I would use my relationships in Baton Rouge to make that easier for the city of New Orleans.
Thank you, Representative Willard. Will you ensure land use, redevelopment, and city investment decisions do not continue to displace Black and brown residents? But instead empower them, yes or no?
Yes.
Representative Boyd?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to talk about business and entrepreneurship. City permitting and procurement are often slow, complex, and favor City permitting and procurement are often slow, complex, and favor larger or well-connected businesses. What reforms would you support to ensure fairer, faster, and more transparent access to city resources for small and minority-owned businesses? Representative Boyd?
Thank you. As a small and minority-owned business owner for several years, starting in my 20s with a management company down to now with a brokerage, I have to listen to clients talk about the permitting process and how they wish they could get out of deals that they have invested in New Orleans. People from New Orleans, you're familiar with the bottom line. That new owner has been waiting 10 months for a permit to put that property in commerce. We're losing money from not being able to be business friendly. First and foremost, we need to look at safety and permits. That entire department needs to be restructured. And the people who think that they're doing business just the way it's always been done, maybe it's time for them to retire from that business. We need to also move to with technology. We have that one app system that I think is more difficult than going down to City Hall to get things done. So that has to be revamped to make it more user-friendly for business owners.
Thank you. Mr. Hill?
The one stop, the one place we go and we stop. Ladies and gentlemen, I used to be the youngest bar owner in the French Quarter, and I'll tell you, my greatest enemy was the city. Having to show up at City Hall to get anything done destroyed my day, okay? And I think a lot of you have experienced the same situation. I want to go back to what I said before about lean government. In changing the way that we operate from day to day. Well, how many pieces of paper we have over here? Why are the printers over here? Why do we have to have 6 people sign off on one permit? It's unnecessary, it's redundancy. And the people that work there know that. And I'm sure that they are just as frustrated as the business owners that walk in there. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to reform the entire system from the inside out.
And Representative Willard?
Based on our infrastructure needs and some of the development going on in the city of New Orleans right now, safety and permits should be a revenue generator for the city of New Orleans. Right now, it's an obstacle to business. And let me tell you, it's affecting us both financially and from a safety perspective. A lot of companies, developers, and even residential homeowners are skipping the requesting a permit process altogether. They're skipping it because they don't want to wait 6 months to get their permit, and so they move forward with the work. You're losing out on money from 2 fronts. Number 1, you get money from the permit. Number 2, when you make an improvement to a property, the assessor gets that information and he can reappraise your property based on the improvement that you made to your property. And number 3 is safety. If we don't have people inspecting those properties, then we have building collapses and balcony collapses and fires. It seems like we have a shortage of inspectors in the city of New Orleans, so we need to address that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is a yes or no question. Do you support a citywide language access policy mandating multilingual forms, plain language instructions, and live or virtual interpretation options? Mr. Hill, yes or no?
Yes, of course.
Representative Willard.
Yes.
Representative Boyd.
Yes.
Thank you. Now let's talk about housing. Will you respect and uphold the will of the voters by protecting and prioritizing the Housing Trust Fund as a permanent part of the city's affordable housing strategy and secure sustainable revenue for it? Starting with Representative Willard.
Yes or no?
No. This is 60 seconds.
Oh, absolutely. City voted for it. What I would be looking for are ways to leverage those dollars with applicable federal and state grants to stretch that 2% of the general fund to make the biggest impact in the city of New Orleans. One thing that I would like to do starting off with the Housing Trust Fund dollars is cleaning up blight in our neighborhoods. We have a housing shortage. We have a affordability crisis as it relates to rent in the city of New Orleans. We have a lot of vacant lots. We have a lot of blighted lots. I think we should use some of that money to put some of those properties into commerce and make sure that they're rented out at rates the people of the city of New Orleans can afford. if we're going to stop the population loss in the city of New Orleans right now, we have to make the city of New Orleans more affordable for the people in the city of New Orleans. And I think the Housing Trust Fund is integral into that role for our future.
Representative Boyd?
Yes, I was a champion for the Housing Trust Fund. I believe in the Housing Trust Fund. But with it, in its core right now, it is still not enough to assist our residents of New Orleans with anything. We still need help from federal level, from the state level, from our private and public partners to still assist because of where the income base is in this particular city. I'm going to go back to we need to start fighting for higher wages so that we can take advantage of things like the Housing Trust Fund, so that we can take advantage of the New Orleans City Soft Second funds, so that we can start investing in our own neighborhoods. I want to create programs for blight, but who's going to do the work? When lumber is up 200% right now, insurance is up 3 and 4 times right now. We have to look at the root of the problem and stop putting a Band-Aid on it and reliving things over and over again. We're in this cycle of doing the same thing over and over again. It's time to start something new.
And Mr. Hill?
Well, first off, the city of New Orleans has got to get out of the landlord business, okay? We need to start selling off the property that we have. And one of the things that I would do with this trust fund is every piece of property that we sell off, that money is going into the fund to strengthen it. I kind of want to piggyback off of what both of them have said. They both have said very good things. But we have so many blighted properties out there, and we can utilize these. I'm going to go right back to the Earned Equity Housing Program. Look, we can make our money go further. We can create generational wealth. We can utilize the assets and the properties that we have on hand. But what Delisha said is correct. Just because we come up with a program doesn't mean the city can execute it correctly. And that is more important than allocating the money.
Thank you. What specific strategies and funding sources will you pursue to house New Orleans unhoused residents? Representative Boyd.
Testing.
There we
Can you
go.
hear me? Okay, great. With our housing, unhousing, finding places for them, that is something that we have to tap into our federal funding for as well. We need to push for more help from our state. Sometimes that requires us to have help at the state level fighting for them. We need to also now tap into our public businesses, our private businesses, to assist with building structures for our unhoused, giving them opportunities to find housing, employment, go back to school. We have to then not only find a place for them to live, but find a place for them to thrive in our city.
Mr. Hill?
I think we're all familiar with the mission, correct? But I don't know if everybody in here is actually knows how much the mission can actually do. The mission is a one-stop shop for somebody that's down on their luck. They can train you. They can house you. They can move you different places. They can keep you safe. But one of the things that they don't do is take city and state money, because our money has caveats attached to it. And every one of those caveats holds the mission back from being able to execute their mission. We have to look at how we write our ordinances, because if we are building obstacles into the monies that we are trying to get out, then we've done nothing. 2 steps forward, 2 steps back.
Could you repeat the question?
Yes, sir. What specific strategies and funding sources will you pursue to house New Orleans unhoused residents?
Combination, you got to use federal, you got to use state, and you got to use city resources. 2 investments that we need to make which have been significantly underinvested since the GNOHA years, are going to be mental health and substance use disorder treatments. And so we have to invest in those areas. Also, when we talk about housing the unhoused population in the city of New Orleans, I think we might need new facilities to do that. The low barrier shelter, I believe, is going through an expansion project right now. But when we talk about the unhoused population, we really have to look at the root causes, and the root causes are going to be tough on their luck, lost their job, got evicted, undiagnosed, untreated mental health issue, active substance use disorder problem. And so we have to address the fundamental root causes of the homeless population in the city of New Orleans, and then we can look at the facilities, temporary facilities, to help them get back on their feet and pair them with the essential services that they need to get back on their feet.
Thank you for those responses. How will you ensure that new housing development in New Orleans meets the needs of low and moderate income residents rather than primarily catering to higher income newcomers? Mr. Hill?
I'm going to go back to the same program, earned equity housing. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a good idea. What this is going to do is it's going to put money back into your pockets. It's going to allow businesses to revamp these homes. It's going to start knocking away at our blight problem. Ladies and gentlemen, to deal with our housing is about a six-pronged attack. And once again, it's always going to go back to whether we can execute the job on the city level of getting these things liquidated, dealt with, filed correctly, and sold. We have to get the city government working correctly before we can go down some of these roads and make them effective.
Representative Willard?
I think you have to use some inclusionary zoning practices. If you want to build housing that low to moderate income people can sustain on, what do they need around them? They need easy access to public transit. They need grocery stores. They need a pharmacy within walking distance. They need a NORD recreational facility. They need a park, right? Good schools. So if you want to build housing where low to moderate income people can thrive and eventually save up enough money and hopefully one day be a homeowner, you have to meet their needs where they are. So we need to make sure that those amenities are in those areas.
Thank you. And Representative Boyd?
Thank you. So housing is my passion, we know that. I look at what we need to get any type of low to moderate income has to start with our building and safety permits. If the businesses can't go in and get permits to build, safety permits to build, they won't come. Insurances are quadrupled in some areas right now. Lumber is 300% right now. Windows are on back order almost a year. All of those things have to go into building houses in any neighborhood, let alone low to moderate neighborhoods. We have to address bigger issues, and I don't want to candy coat it. That's what we hear all the time. We get all these promises on, we're going to build 40,000 affordable housing. Who's going to build them? We have a program right now, just like the City South Second, that goes to developers that encourages them to build in low to moderate income areas that we can't get builders and developers to even buy into because of the way the rest of the system is set up around our state.
Thank you. We're going to go into three rapid-fire questions. The first one, would you be willing to give landlords of all sizes a tax credit if they agree to rent at a rate that is affordable to middle to low-income renters? Yes or no? Representative Willard?
Yes.
Representative Boyd?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Question number 2, will you ensure housing remains a top priority in the city's budget? Yes or no? Representative Boyd? Yes. Will you ensure...
I said, what's the question, actually?
Yeah. Will you ensure housing remains a top priority in the city's budget?
Absolutely.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Representative
Yes.
Willard, thank you.
Will you commit to supporting and advancing policies that prohibit income-based housing discrimination? Mr. Hill.
Yes.
Representative Willard.
Yes.
Representative Boyd.
Yes.
Thank you. Next topic, public safety and policing. Data shows that statistics tracking crime, particularly violent crime, are improving. However, the narrative around crime in this city remains the same. What is your position on increasing funding for NOPD versus investing in public safety strategies such as mental health crisis team or community violence intervention? Representative Willard.
What I say is crime is always going to be relative, meaning if you or a family member or neighbor were affected by crime, it's the most important thing to you. Crime is going down in the city of New Orleans. Took a lot of help, but we're going in the right direction. Crime nationally is going down. The last thing we need right now is military police in the city of New Orleans. So I got to say that because of comments being made today. As far as the resources, if we want to get into a community policing model, we do need more NOPD officers, but I always like to approach it with doing more with less. And so NOPD has been able to use civilian investigators for some administrative responsibilities. So I look for more opportunities for NOPD to do that. And I would certainly invest more into programming, recreational, educational, and workforce training for our youth and our formerly incarcerated to make sure that they have a pathway to succeed in life.
Representative Boyd.
I promise you I'm not turning off my mic myself, y'all. Crime is at an all-time low. This is the lowest we've seen it in over 50 years. We are down 750 officers in our city, though. To keep the crime level going down, we have to have a strong recruitment program. We have to have an incentive for them to come here. They actually have a budget to hire more police officers. We just can't fill. Thank you. So we actually have money in the budget. We just can't get people recruited to this city because they can go to surrounding districts right here in our state and make more money with less crime and be able to live in those communities where they're working. So we need a stronger recruitment program, whether that's offering the police officers the lot next door program or offering some type of incentive, maybe paying down school loans or offering an incentive for that. We need a stronger retention program. The officers that come to our academy, they come here, they work here for a year, and then they leave and go other places to work where they can earn more money.
Mr. Hill.
I'm going to go down this road. Do you want more police or do you want less police? Let me rephrase that question. Do you want more police or less high-quality police? Okay? We, as Delise said, we are 700 short, okay? And what we know from the recruiting that we have done is we have brought a lot of bad actors into the NOPD in just the past few years because we were rushing to get people in. We weren't getting high-quality candidates. Ladies and gentlemen, if we do want high-quality candidates, and we want a high-quality police force, and that's one that walks around in your neighborhood, says hi, knows everybody's name, the real community policing, not just driving around in the car looking at stuff, playing on the phone.
Thank you. Many residents have voiced deep concerns about the adoption of facial recognition technology, citing its potential to violate citizens' rights to privacy and its documented misuse in communities of color. Beyond simply stating whether you support or oppose its use, what concrete steps would you take to ensure strong accountability, transparency, and protection of residents' rights if this technology were implemented? Starting with Representative Boyd.
First, I would not support that bill, especially in the climate that we're in right now, with a government on a federal level as well as a state level looking for more and more ways to invade our privacy, to take more of our rights. We're going back into a special session at the end of October for them to take more of our rights. So one, I would not support that. We have crime cameras around this city that we have seen be very effective, especially like around the French Quarter. They can track people from point A to point B and see who the bad actors are. We don't need to then step into those markets and have crime recognition, facial recognition cameras so that they can start targeting our children and our people in our city. So I would definitely not support that bill or that policy, and I would do everything in my power, just as I've done on the state level, to fight any bad legislation.
Mr. Hill.
I don't support it either, and I've been to enough of these forums to know that my man Matt here does not stand with it either, because I think all three of us agree that not only is it a slippery slope, that it's the way it has been used and implemented goes against Latinos, goes against black families. Ladies and gentlemen, I do not stand for that kind of invasion of privacy. And if you really want a better, safer city, it comes back to good old-fashioned policing. We don't need technological facial recognition. We need officers that are in communication with other departments so they know who the perpetrators are, they know who the bad actors are, and they can recognize them themselves to deal with it. We don't need to put an invasive piece of machinery into our city.
And Representative Willard.
Yeah. Again, yeah, I don't support it for a few reasons. Number one, I know historically it has shown biased results to people of color, and so definitely don't want it to be used as a targeting mechanism to go into our neighborhoods, and we shouldn't be doing anything that's going to increase encounters with law enforcement. Because you may think that you have somebody, but then they're the wrong person. Now, all of a sudden, there's a confrontation because a SWAT team has rolled up on them. I also have major concerns with constitutional privacy issues as it relates to facial recognition technology. Something you also should be aware of is the docket that was being pushed before the council also had a component to where they could listen in on devices. And right now, given the climate, the political climate we have, I'm afraid that the federal government would be able to access these cameras and use it to pursue people who show up to a protest or say they don't like President Trump.
Thank you, candidates. We're going to move to a new topic, climate, energy, and community resilience. First question, do you believe the City Council has done enough to hold energy accountable and to transition to clean, community-controlled energy? If not, what specific changes would you pursue regarding the city's energy future? First, Mr. Hill.
I think I've been clear before. Energy has no fans in this room and does not have a fan right here. Energy has done nothing but screw us over and over again. Look at your bills. It's time to break up the monopoly. It's time to take back our power lines so that we have control over this situation. Because, look, there is no council member that's going to be able to sit on the board of Entergy and be like, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that, and that they're going to listen. They're not going to listen until we put our boot on their throat and say that we are done with your monopoly, with your practices, and we're bringing in competition. And if you want to be better and you want to stay in this city, you need to get better at your job.
Just to clarify, Mr. Hill, do you believe the City Council has done enough so far to hold Entergy accountable?
Absolutely not.
Thank you. Representative Willard?
No, I don't think they've done enough. I think a big problem as it relates to energy regulation in the city is that the council historically follows the recommendations of the consultants, and I don't think that's always in the best interest of the people of the city of New Orleans. There's a docket right now in front of the council that would create a virtual power plant, which means the city of New Orleans can use solar panels and backup batteries to alleviate the demand on the power grid, and you would be able to reap savings from reduced energy bills because you're contributing to the grid. One of the holdups on that docket is Entergy. And so you also have to look at the rate structure. I just said that Entergy makes a 14% return on investment for infrastructure improvements. We need to restructure incentives that Entergy gets to be performance-based incentives. So if they help the city of New Orleans generate more power through solar panels and backup battery storage, then they can make more money. But we can't continue subsidizing their infrastructure improvements. The city of New Orleans can't afford it.
Thank you. And Representative Boyd?
Thank you for that question. What I will tell you is that I don't believe that the councils before me have been innovative and creative in doing new things, finding ways to hold Entergy New Orleans accountable for what it is that they already have, what they're spending it on, what they're not spending it on, looking inside of their budget, taking a window seat to what's being spent and how it's being spent. We got to get creative on new forms, whether it's solar panels, green energy, different things that they have not looked at, have not tried to implement. So that would be my goal, to get in, make Entergy New Orleans more transparent, to find out what's going on inside of it, get creative with how to hold them accountable for what it is that we're already giving them, and then look for new ways to bring our own energy here.
Thank you. Mr. Hill, this question is for you. You've advocated for dissolving the Sewage and Water Board and bringing it under Public Works. How would that restructuring impact the current drainage, billing, and customer service in the neighborhoods throughout the city?
Okay. For one, once it's all under one roof, we're going to stop digging up the street, put it down, digging it up again, put it down, digging it up again, because it will be under one communication model. Okay? Yes, it's going to take a little bit of time for us to move all the operations, the funding, the personnel, all of the equipment under Public Works, and then we're going to have to go through and reform Public Works. But I already told you, all the answers are already there. All these frontline workers can tell you how to restructure this to make it work. And once the ball starts rolling, it's going to go very, very quickly, ladies and gentlemen. But real quick, the main reason why I want this to occur is because I want to replace our roads with permeable surface and a catch basin underneath, so that eventually we turn all of our roads into a giant irrigation system and we stop sinking.
Next topic, quality of life, climate, resilience, and environment. First question, flooding remains a persistent threat to much of New Orleans. What's your concrete plan to improve drainage and stormwater infrastructure, and how will you work with the Sewage and Water Board, assuming it's not dissolved, and other city agencies accountable to mitigating flooding and recurring service failures?
Me?
Want me to do it again?
Well, one thing we have to do is spend the money that we receive. The Marabou Water Garden project was being discussed and planned back in 2018. We received several $1 million from the federal government to help with that project. It was going to establish blue green corridors throughout Gentilly, and to date, the city of New Orleans has still not spent all of that money. For the Marabou Water Garden in particular, I think they've only spent maybe one out of the maybe 10 million that they had for that. So we have to spend the money that we have. The longer we hold it, the less valuable it becomes. As far as drainage goes, I'm going to say the unpopular thing again. We need every property contributing to drainage efforts in the city of New Orleans. Our drainage infrastructure is over a century old. It needs a complete rebuild. So we have to have a strategic plan on how we rebuild our drainage infrastructure over the next 10 years for the city of New Orleans to have a sustainable, viable future.
Representative Boyd.
Thank you. Once again, we need to have an audit of the money that we have received. Again, we've received over $700 million from our federal partners, millions and millions from our New Orleans partners from the state level. We need to know what's going on with the money that's already there that should be satisfying us with our drainage system. I am also a board member of NOLA. We have started with having stormwater retention areas around our city and have seen much success. I'd like to see that program expanded, where the city gets more involved with placing those areas more around our city, because that also helps with the drainage. That we've seen a lot of success in the last 2 years that NORA has implemented that program. We need to take that, now that we know it works, and start expanding that throughout our city.
Thank you. Mr. Hill?
Will you repeat the question for me?
Yes, sir. Flooding remains a persistent threat to much of New Orleans. What's your concrete plan to improve drainage and stormwater infrastructure, and how will you work with the Sewage and Water Board and other city agencies accountable to mitigating flooding and recurring service failures?
Okay, I think I just kind of spat out my magnum opus. My magnum opus for this city is to stop it from flooding and stop it from sinking. That's why I want to start moving to porous asphalt and porous pavement. But we can't just do what other places have done, like Savannah and Miami, because they can allow that water to get into their ground, because they don't have to pump it out, but we do. And if you do want a future like this, then ladies and gentlemen, we have to move a whole of operations together. Because the Sewage and Water Board is not going to come on and just be like, hey, yeah, this is a great idea, let's do that. They're not. We have to put pressure on them. We have to make them. We have to make them do what we want them to do, not what they want to do.
Thank you.
Residents regularly express frustration with street conditions, garbage collection, and utilities. How will you use your regulatory and budgeting powers to improve basic public services in New Orleans within your first year in office, starting with Representative Boyd?
Thank you. As I've stated before, with each department, we need to have an audit of what we have already and what's being spent and how it's being spent and who's doing the work. We need to increase our workforce in each of those departments. With regards to our trash, we have a bidding process with that. That is what's in place right now. That should be honored at any case. Whoever wins it, as city council members, as members of the public. That's what the policy is right now. If you bid and win the contract, then that is yours. If you want to seek to change that, then that's a conversation we could have. But currently, there's a bidding process for that. So I would encourage looking into, one, an audit of each department. Moving forward, we need to hire more people. All of those departments are also understaffed right now. So that also increases why we have such delays on getting work done. We have so many people who are not working in those departments because of what's paid. You can now drive Uber and make more money.
Mr. Hill?
Okay, post-Ida. I think everybody remembers the trash situation for post-Ida. But it opened up something that I guess at the time I didn't know, is that we have a contract for above the I-10 and below the I-10. Once again, we have another monopoly, ladies and gentlemen. What I am suggesting is that we stop this, that we deregulate the trash. It's Sidney Torres, the Gator, Richards, is going to knock on your door and say, hey, I would like to provide the trash service for you. This is what it's going to be. No extra fees, no taxes folded into it. They're going to earn your business. And ladies and gentlemen, we will also see new companies pop up when we do something like that. If we want to move forward, we have to stop doing things the way that we always have done them.
And Representative Willard?
Thank you. Couple of things here. Number one, we cook way too much in the city of New Orleans, and we love boiled seafood way too much in the city of New Orleans for once a week trash pickup. So next year, we're going back to 2 days because 1 day is unreal. Number two, we spend a lot of money on contracts and then money on top of that for a contract to manage that contract. We need to eliminate some of that use the savings to bring money into City Hall and hire more city workers to do work. We have one crew that's dedicated to road work maintenance in the city of New Orleans. One crew. That has to change. If we're going to invest money into our infrastructure, we need to set aside enough money to take care of our infrastructure. Street lights. You saw this morning on the news, the DPW is only doing street lights if it's an emergency situation. If all the lights are off in your neighborhood, I think that's an emergency situation. Our budget needs to reflect the true priorities of the city of New Orleans. That's what I'll do for you.
Thank you all. This is a question just for Representative Boyd. As a current state representative, how would you translate your legislative experience, especially in infrastructure and education, into effective local action for New Orleans?
I think that's a great question for Delisha Boyd. Again, I was elected in a special election, and I made certain promises to the citizens of our state, to the citizens of New Orleans. I have met in every corner of this city with groups and organizations. I've listened, I've understood, and I've delivered. What's needed in our community is someone who wants to hit the ground running and get work done with regards to our infrastructure, with regards to city business services, with regards to education. When my first 5 months in office, I was awarded the Rising Democrat of the state. Within my first 12 months, I was elected into leadership. I'm effective. I know how to get things done, not only on a state level, but a city level, and I will continue to produce for the citizens of New Orleans.
Thank you, Representative Boyd.
It's a yes or no question. Do you support creating a dedicated city department or budget line for climate resilience infrastructure, such as solar hubs, green infrastructure, and flood prevention? Yes or no, Representative Willard?
Yes.
Representative Boyd?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
And would you support requiring all new large developments to meet green building or solar readiness standards? Yes or no? Representative Boyd?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
No.
Representative Willard?
Yes.
Thank you.
Since that was the first no, I'm gonna do something that's I'm not scripted to do, but I'd like you to explain your no. Why no? Because that's the first no we've heard all night.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So one thing that we have learned is that the electricity produced isn't always enough. But there's smarter things that we can do. I think I've already talked about the streets, but I haven't talked about solar-powered sidewalks, have I? Okay. We need to be a little bit smarter and a bit more innovative. I don't need that building to do that. What I need is for DPW to upgrade their game and start utilizing new resources that we have, new technologies, start getting it right.
Thank you, Mr. Hill.
Okay, well, now it's time for our audience Q&A. Throughout the evening, audience members have submitted questions in writing, and while there were a number of questions submitted, our co-chairs have randomly selected questions that will be read to the candidates. The remaining questions will be submitted to the candidates following the debate. We encourage each of you to follow up with the candidates and their teams and their teams about issues not covered this evening. Each candidate will have 60 seconds to respond to each question, and questions will be read by debate co-chair, Ms. Amani Johnson, National Panhellenic Council of Greater New Orleans, Area 4 Coordinator, National Panhellenic Council. Please welcome them to the stage.
Good evening. So I have 3 questions for you.
I'm breaking them all.
All right, I will read each question, and then the moderators will let you know the order of response. So our first question. Today, the president said he may want to send federal troops to New Orleans to help clean up the city. What are the pros and cons of this issue?
Mr. Hill, based on the last one, you go first on this time.
I think it's kind of ridiculous, but I want us to focus on the fact that this is actually not so much President Trump. That's Landry. Landry made that. Landry's the one like, hey, come on down here. When remember, he could have called out the National Guard at any time he wants to, but he didn't. Okay? I personally don't think it's a great idea. I think it's a shame that New Orleans is seen the way it is and that this is even a part of the conversation. And as a Republican, I denounce it.
Representative Willard.
Yeah, I actually think Trump might be trying to save face here. He was trying to go into Chicago, and they're not really having any of it, so he wants to go into another city, and we have a governor who will embrace that. We do not need military in our streets. We don't need the military in our communities. The men and women who signed up to serve our country did not sign up to patrol our communities. They did not sign up for that. And so that is an injustice. If the federal government wants to help the city of New Orleans or the state of Louisiana, they need to send us funding for our infrastructure. They need to send us funding for our teachers. They need to send us funding to make sure that all kids have universal early childhood education. They need to send us funding to repair our coastline. There are tangible things that we need help with. One that we do not need help with is the military patrolling the streets of New Orleans.
Representative Boyd.
Thank you for that question. Let's be clear on what this is. This is our president and our governor trying to show how much control they actually have. Their mission has been from the beginning to disenfranchise more African Americans at an enormous rate by giving them a pipeline from birth to prison. You don't want to educate our children. You don't want to provide exceptions to rape and incest for children. You want to jail our children at any age. This has been their message. And we, as a society, are allowing it. We are a red state with 118,000 more Democrats in this state than Republicans. At the very least, we should be purple. At this particular point, we should not be afraid of anything that we see that they're doing, but we have to start standing united and fighting back. Not for ourselves. I turned 57 today. I'm not going to be here another 57 years, but for our children and grandchildren moving forward. It's time to fight back.
Question number 2. How will you help support, attract, and retain New Orleans East businesses in underdeserved areas without triggering displacement?
We need a strategic plan for New Orleans East. We need a strategic plan.
Say you, Matthew? I'm just joking.
That's first, yeah.
Birthday girl, now you getting out of line now, birthday girl.
Am I not?
Representative Willard, Representative Boyd, and then Mr. Hill.
Yeah. So we need a strategic plan for New Orleans East. We need a strategic plan for the lower 9th Ward. In many regards, the East and the lower 9 are doing worse than they were before Hurricane Katrina. We need a leader who will focus on bringing resources to the table. One idea that I have is setting up a satellite office for city departments in New Orleans East that could be an anchor, because if you have people coming there for sewage and water board issues, and I think anybody in any part of the city of New Orleans will go to the east for a sewage and water board issue over going down to St. Joseph Street. But if you can set up sewage and water board down there, if you can set up the assessor's office down there, safety and permits, code enforcement, now you have a hub of activity throughout the day. You can establish restaurants for lunch activity, coffee shops for morning activities. We have to do something about the pharmacies that are closing. We have to turn that around. But there's no reason we don't have commerce in those areas. There's no reason we have so much blight. It's been historically neglected for 20 years, and it's time it changes.
Now, Representative Boyd.
I was just joking. I'm having fun. It's my birthday. So I'm going to use my birthday all day, y'all. All night. We are looking at a place where we have our biggest chance for economic growth and development. We have watched consistently when adjusters come here and devalue those neighborhoods, Appraisers go in and devalue those neighborhoods. That is what's called gentrification. That's how it starts. You devalue the area, and then people come in from other places and then make our neighborhoods more valuable. The difference between gentrification and revitalization is who's doing the work. We have to start demanding more in our neighborhoods, better streets, better education. Then we can start buying up the blight in our own neighborhoods and keeping it where our people and our family and friends can live in those neighborhoods. We don't have to wait for somebody else to come in and give our neighborhoods value. We have to start demanding more, and then we put back into our own. We don't need to wait for someone else to do it for us.
Mr. Hill.
If I asked you to close your eyes right now and imagine Almonaster, I bet you would see tires, overgrowth, trash. I'll tell you what I see. I see Elmwood. I see light manufacturing. I see retail. I see gas stations. I see grocery stores. But ladies and gentlemen, that resource, Almonaster, needs to be zoned correctly, and we need to bring in more industry. And I think we've all seen Elmwood, the way it's kind of set up. You've got a main corridor that has all of your industry. Then you have a corridor behind it that has housing, but it's multi-use, multi-housing, multi-unit housing. But then once you go behind that, what has popped up? Real housing, real neighborhoods. If we want to revitalize the East, Almonaster is where we need to peg it.
And our last question from the public is, you all say accountability is key. Some advocates have pushed for a participatory budget process, but it has been rejected. Do you support public participation?
Representative Boyd.
I support the public having the ability to see what's going on with inside of our budget. For far too long, just last year with RTA, with the ferry system, we know that our New Orleans representatives sent money down to RTA that would also fund our ferry. Within 6 months, that money was quote unquote gone. I think the public deserves to understand what happened with that money and to see to understand what happened with it. That's why I push for transparency and accountability. I think the public deserves a right to see what happens inside of our budget.
Mr. Hill.
Of course. I think every person in the city should be involved in the budget. But how many people here have actually read the budget? It's pretty long, and it's very convoluted. It almost takes an expert to be able to pick this thing apart and tell you what's in it. So the first thing we need to do is actually simplify the budget. Wouldn't it be nice if you only had a 4-page prospectus and you could see the entire budget on 4 pages? It said at 236, 482, and other ones from the past years. Ladies and gentlemen, if people want to engage in the government, we have to make it easier for people to engage. Because look, more people are interested in who's going to be playing at next year's Jazz Fest than what they really care what's in the budget. We need to make it easier for everybody to understand what they're seeing, and then we will get the participation.
Yeah, I'm always going to be supportive of a participatory process. I think it's easy for anybody in my position to stand up here and tell you that they would be supportive of that. At the end of the day, I want to give you some examples of how a participatory process has led to new laws being created. I had a constituent reach out to me. They said, Matt, do you know that we have Confederate holidays on the books in Louisiana? I said, no way, let me look into this. Sure enough, Robert E. Lee Day, Confederate Memorial Day holidays in Louisiana. Guess what? They're not anymore. I had a constituent reach out to me. His father died at a nursing home during COVID. He said he could not communicate with him at all. Guess what? I passed legislation to make sure nursing home facilities enable video conferencing calls with their loved ones so that would never happen again. So it actually makes my job easier. when I'm in lockstep with the community, then I know I'm in the right direction. So I'm always going to be supportive of that. Thank you. Good question.
Thank you to the public for your questions, and thank you, candidates, for your responses.
We'll now move to closing statements. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to summarize their vision and make a final appeal to the voters. We'll go in the following order. Representative Willard, Mr. Hill, and we're going to close out with Representative Boyd.
Thank you for everybody coming on this journey with us tonight. It was quite an experience. I hope you take something away from it. My name is Matthew Willard. For 6 years, I've served the city of New Orleans as a state representative. The last 3 years, I've served the city of New Orleans and the state of Louisiana as the leader of the House Democrats. We all know that City Hall is not working for the people in the city of New Orleans right now. Our neighborhoods are neglected, our streets stay flooded, and because of these issues, people are fleeing the city of New Orleans, and we're losing 4,000 to 5,000 people every year. We are not on a sustainable path. If you're ready for honest, accountable, and transparent leadership who will turn things around in this city and give you results block by block, then I'm ready to be your next council member at large. If you're ready for somebody who will prioritize problem solving the issues that each and every one of you faces on a regular basis, then I'm ready to be your next council member at large. If you're ready for somebody who's going to do everything that they can to make sure that we are all excited to live, work, and raise a family in the city of New Orleans, then I'm ready to be your next city council member at large. My name is Matthew Willard. My ballot number is 30. My website is matthewwillard.com. I have a detailed policy platform. If you really want to see what I stand for, please check out my website. On social media, I'm Willard for NOLA. I appreciate your attention tonight. I look forward to gaining your support during this election cycle, and thank you for playing your active role in our civic engagement process.
Thank you, Representative Willard. Mr. Hill.
Before I finish up, I saw your hands over there. Thank you for reading the budget. It is a very difficult thing. Respect on that. Ladies and gentlemen, innovation is not an app. Innovation is a mindset. And it's a mindset saying that barriers don't matter. We'll find a way. And I think that we have so much talent here in this city. It's so many great ideas. And we're not listening to them. Because I think that we have seen that the city government is broken. It needs to be fixed. And any ideas that anybody wants to talk about, hey, let's get the streets fixed, let's do this. We cannot fix the streets until we fix the department that fixes the streets. Lean government that I've mentioned before, and I hope that somebody will go look it up. Lean government makes everything quicker, smarter, and more customer service and oriented. Because I think y'all, over this past, hour and a half, I think y'all have started to feel what my vision for this city is. I think that you understand that we can go far beyond anything that anybody has laid in front of us before. But to get that started, we have to change our attitude. We have to change our attitude that we can do it. Because we can. It's not that hard. It's called pressure. And I'm not just asking for your vote. I'm asking for a mandate to go in and fix your city. If I have to do it with a pickaxe and a blowtorch, we're going to make this city right for you.
Representative Boyd.
Thank you. Once again, thank you guys so much for hosting this event and having this big birthday party for me tonight. I was elected just 3 years ago, determined to change the face of what we were doing in our city, in our state. I went in without hesitation and began to fight fearlessly for our citizens. I fought for having those adjusters being required to come into our state and be certified here. For the ones who were here just last session, I passed a bill where our appraisers now have to be certified and we qualified on the national level so that we can hold them accountable for going into places like New Orleans East and giving bad appraisals. I fought fearlessly for women's reproductive rights. Yes, that bill gets shot down every session, so you might think that I would take an easier route and do something different. Not on my watch. I will continue to fight. I fought fearlessly for raising the minimum wage to a livable wage. Yes, I want affordable housing, but I want our people to live here and be able to buy whatever's here, to work here and be able to buy whatever's here. So I fight for livable wages. In 2025, we still don't have equal pay for women. We still don't have equal pay for women. I have fought fearlessly for that. Within 12 months, I was elected as your first vice chair of the Black Caucus. I have remained in leadership all 3 years because my colleagues recognize my strength. My colleagues recognize my ability to get things done that other people could not get done, expungements for marijuana charges, so that our citizens can have second chances and be able to go back to school, be able to live in places. I will continue to fight. I listen, I understand, and I deliver, and I will continue to deliver on our infrastructure. I will continue to deliver on City Hall, making it more business-friendly. These are my commitments to our city. Thank you. Now y'all have to sing happy birthday to me. I'm serious, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
You guys ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Miss Delisha. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Oh. Well, a big thank you to our candidates, and I also think there's an applause needed for you guys. You're such an attentive audience tonight. Well done. This concludes tonight's debate, and I know it's past my own bedtime, but let's give one more warm welcome to the Urban League of Louisiana's Senior Director for Policy, Advocacy, and Legal Affairs, Charles Phipps, for closing remarks.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Urban League of Louisiana, we thank the candidates. Now it's my turn. We thank the candidates for an amazing debate. We thank our co-chairs, and we thank all of you for participating in this democratic process. We're particularly thankful to the Ashé Cultural Arts Center for opening your doors and being an amazing host. One of the benefits of being in a space such as this is that I was reminded, and I think that we're reminded, that history isn't something that you just inherit. History is something that we are actively making. Our coalition and debate series is called By the People, because we firmly believed that every citizen deserved the opportunity to hear from every candidate regarding their plans to protect us, to invest in us, and to lead us toward the city that we know we deserve, and most importantly, that we know is possible. October 11th isn't just another election day. It's an opportunity to make real that history by changing. It's in our power to change our present. This journey that we've been on at the Urban League of Louisiana is not one that we've done alone. We are particularly gracious to our entire coalition, and I'd be remiss if I didn't thank you all. So please know that I sincerely appreciate and have enjoyed working with Black Voters Matter, C.O.P, Eternal Seeds, Housing NOLA, the NAACP New Orleans chapter, the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, New Orleans HBCU Alumni Association, the Lower Ninth Ward Coalition, the Links Incorporated, the Pontchartrain, Crescent City, and New Orleans chapters, Power Coalition, YWCA, Ashé Cultural Arts Center, the crew of Themis, Proficient Media Services, Team of Strategy Group, The Collaborative, and Xavier University. Please join me at our next debate stop. It's debate number 7, y'all. It's going to be right here at Ashé regarding a very important race for assessor. Who's going to be our next assessor will be determined and informed by the debate taking place Friday right here at 7 p.m. But I also ask that you mark your calendars for our culminating debate at Xavier University September 9th, where we'll be hosting 9 mayoral candidates. It's truly going to be a marathon of information and an amazing culminating event. You can find an RSVP for tickets at urbanleaguela.org/bythepeople. Thank you, New Orleans.